Welcome back to the channel. It's Friday. We're closed today, but taking some time up here to do a little video walk around of a project that has been here longer than any other project that we've ever had. But it's finally done as far as our part goes, and it's ready to go back home. So let's check it out. So those of you that watch our channel, you know about this Jeep. I've done multiple videos of the different build stages of it, but this is a Jeep owned by Demon Performance in South Carolina. They specialize in Jeep performance and any kind of modern Hemi stuff. So this is something that's going to kind of showcase their shop as their shop car, kind of like the Datsun behind the curtain is for us. So just a real quick backstory on this for those of you that are just coming in. So Nate and Skip brought this thing to us as a referral from Kevin Mullins from TKM. They do all their engine packages and stuff that they sell through Demon. So whenever they came, they dropped this thing off and we got it unloaded, and it was just a roller, some dark colored factory looking wheels on it, and basically, you know, everything was in it. The dash, you know, all the some of the interior had been removed, but it was pretty much all in there. All the running gear underneath. The motor and trans was gone, but all the other stuff was there, just OEM. So when they unloaded it, both of them started talking about all these big plans, and like when they started talking, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of got amped up because the way they was talking was way beyond what we handled here. You know, back then we didn't really get into any kind of really serious chassis work. We did roll cages and you know, simple roll cages, not no fully in-depth back half stuff or anything like that. And we still don't get into it that much just because of our manpower and just, you know, time constraints. But when they started talking, I was just listening. They was talking about, I remember Skip saying something about moving the firewall back. And then they started talking about doing a custom K-member and just all these things. And I was like, you know, we ain't never jumped into a lot of that stuff, but it was already here. And it was one of them things, you know, I said, we can do that, you know, if we take our time, if there's no time constraints. And they said, there's no time limit on this, just whenever. And I said, okay. So I remember walking in Joey's office and telling him, well, we're probably in over our head with this one, but it's here now, so we're gonna get it. So I remember the first thing we did, we pulled the K-member out, had a friend 3D scan it. This is a two-wheel drive version of the four-wheel drive K-member that we originally designed, but this is just showing you an example. The four-wheel drive version, you know, it mounts the factory steering rack. It's got a removable tube for the four-wheel drive up front. It's a lot more in depth than what you see here, but I'm just showing you as an example. So we made one of these, designed a fixture to manufacture them because Demon wanted us to manufacture these four-wheel drive K-members that's dropping this weight. But the factory K-member in these things, if you take everything off of it, the hydroformed steel really isn't that heavy. It looks heavy, but it really isn't that heavy. There was like, I think there's like 25 pound savings for the chromoly versus the hydroformed steel. So, but the main benefit was you're opening up so much more room for turbo kits and stuff like that. And I think, you know, Nathan, he was building a lot of turbo kits and stuff at that time and wanted more room, you know, to go under the cable member with the piping and stuff. So that's kind of where that went. So got through all that, and we actually sent one to one of their customers to install. I think that went well. There wasn't no complaints there. But then it kind of transitioned on wanting to get a little bit more serious with the build. And it originally started out that this was owned by one of their customers. But their customer decided they wanted to do something a little bit more street friendly. And Demon ended up purchasing this from the customer for what work had already been done to it. So I forgot that detail of the story on how it began. But so after some going back and forth and deciding how serious they were going to get with this build, we decided to go with a 2-wheel drive plan instead of the original 4-wheel drive plan. And we've got a set of wheels and tires over there on top of the cabinet. That was a set of radials for the front whenever we were going to do the 4-wheel drive setup, so we could fit everything. But Nathan, he really wanted to stay 4-wheel drive because of their business model and, you know, their customer base and everything, and just, you know, being able to stick with that. They had a billet transfer case, all this different stuff that they were just going to put in there to get them to live. But Skip, he kept saying, let's go 2-wheel drive because I want to go real fast. And if you go real fast, you got to ditch 4-wheel drive. I mean, the diesel guys, they're going fast on 4-wheel drive because their trucks are heavy. But when you get something light and you keep 4-wheel drive, it's a lot to manage. I mean, I know there's people out there that's doing it with the exotics and stuff, but it gets to be a lot to manage with the front pulling, the back pushing, and all that. So we started on the 2-wheel drive plan. So that's where this K-member come into play. And this was just a slimmed down version of the 4-wheel drive K-member that didn't have a lot of the mounting points and stuff. So they could, you can kind of make what you want out of it. So these are OEM doors. They've been completely gutted. They're super lightweight. When you open them, you feel like you're going to bend them because there's just nothing to them anymore once we took all the structure out of the inside of it. But super convenient to leave them on there because they fit nice. Got nut certs holding the Lexan on. Typical scallop strips and everything holding everything else. These universal door latch release levers assemblies. This is going to be a new product that we are going to debut here probably in the next week or two because they work great on the Jeep. This was kind of our test run with them, and they make mounting stuff like this up, you know, super convenient, super easy, and they work great. So be looking for that. The top that's on this thing, this is an OEM top with no sunroof. This is one they sent to put on there. Obviously it's just kind of mocked up on there right now, just like everything else on this Jeep, but that kind of did away with the sunroof, and we was able to cut everything out of the roof, so it's completely, all the structure's gone, everything up there besides that skin. This gives you a look at the cage. So with 25/6, you have this annoying bar that goes right down through the middle here on both sides. And you have this X brace that's in between the main hoop. But pretty much besides that, and the bar sizes being a little bit bigger, I think everything lines up with 25/2, which is 6-second cert. So 25/2 with bigger bars and extra bars is what you've got with a 25/6, pretty much. So that'll work out good for them because they can have this thing certed again for a lower cert if they wanted to, you know, at a later date. A little serial number plate there. But this is the factory floor. I think it would actually be 25.3 because this is a unibody stuff, so sometimes I get them mixed up. We'll block off plates though. See the tubes going down through the floor here. Closed up some of the holes in the firewall. Definitely a lot of bars and a lot of work in this one. So all of it's closed off in front of where the carbon starts with sheet metal. Take a look at the carbon and stuff in the back. Door panels in the back done the same way. No door handles on those, don't need them. Nobody's gonna be sitting back here. So everything is Clecoed together because we're gonna give it back to them just like this in mock-up mode, because they're gonna have to mount things and take things out, and there's still a lot of time left to get this thing done, but you know, they can take things out and put them back in, you know, as they get things mounted. But kind of followed the contour of the door jamb here. We curved that piece of carbon, which made it kind of difficult to get that piece fit, but fits pretty good. Run a little stringer down through the middle here to support it with some scallop strips. Got carbon tubs from Tim McAmis. Awesome products from him. Everything's flawless when we get it. All this carbon come from Tim McAmis as well. So this center section we kind of blocked off because the anti-roll bar goes up in there. This is welded up with metal right here, stitch welded. Let me go around to the back and I'll open that up. So took the pins out, laying there, and you can see, if I don't get my arm caught in this parachute, the back opens up just like factory. This gives you a look at the rear. All the carbon still got the plastic on it because, like I said, it's still in mock-up mode. Did a nice little sheet metal piece right here to close this back part off behind the parachute tube, or the rear cross tube. So the tub here we had to do two piece. So luckily the tub was big enough that the part that we cut on the outside, we had that left over. So we just cut another piece out of it and put it on the outside. Just the way this is shaped in here, you can't get the tub in and out unless you do it two piece. So we done that on both sides, and because it lines up super good, I mean, it looks super clean, so that worked out. But we are definitely not the finish experts. I try to tell people that up front when they want us to do a lot of finish work, and you know, this stuff takes a lot of time. People don't realize, and I kind of feel bad for having to even charge the amount of hours that it takes on all this stuff, but this is very time consuming with very little visual yield. Now you can build a turbo kit or something like that, gets everybody excited, and it's like your hours versus what you're actually putting on the car, they kind of go hand in hand. But when dealing with this finish stuff, it's like you can burn up 4 or 5 hours and you ain't done nothing, it don't seem like. So that's why I get kind of discouraged doing it. The back, we've hollowed it out as well, just took all the structure out, left the latch. I had to leave some structure there, but just cut it out to get the weight out of it, basically. So that's about all for the top. I'm gonna get this thing on the lift right quick before I have to jet today, and show you guys how the underneath of this thing is laid out. So let's talk about what's going on under the Jeep. So first off, the focal point here, we've got the Hammer Concepts and Designs 9-inch rear setup. This has got the big TBM brakes on the back. This is the Jeep wheel pattern. I think it's 5-on-5, pretty big. But they seen the rear end in my car and they said we gotta have one like that. So Brian, he built this one, turned out super nice. You can see how the parachute kind of Frenches in to the rear structure there, giving it some side-to-side support. That's been the subject of a couple things here lately on the chassis pages, is, you know, how strong is this bar? How strong is all this tied in? Because apparently somebody's parachute got ripped off or the tubing broke with the pop of the chute. So want to make sure that's strong. You can see how everything kind of ties in. I'll try to explain a lot, but some of this you just have to look at it to see what's going on. So you can see the anti-roll bar, it's got its own little channel up there that it can go up in. Again, that's the Hammer Concepts and Designs. That's a 7 1/4 arm version. We had to do that to get the geometry right with the end links as far as how much stroke this thing's got. So these are mock-up shocks based on what they told us they were going to get. This is ride height, and they can go lower if they want to a little bit, but depending on what shocks you get, you want to make sure your anti-roll bar, like I said in my previous video, it doesn't bind up, that it stays at an angle throughout your whole stroke. With the wishbone, this is another Hammer Concepts carbon bushing style we've got in here. Same thing as we use on our F-body stuff. This wishbone's pretty long though, so it's got an X in the middle. You can see where we back half, we cut the frame here, or the unibody frame, I guess you would call it. Cut line across there, tied it in here. This is also Hammer Concepts 4-link brackets. So hammer everything in the rear. And why not? It's some of the best stuff out there. So just some support for the 4-link, the lower part of the bracket here. It's required by all these 25 whatever cages. These are your 2A bars. So these don't count. Even though these are big frame channels, this is still just stamped steel. This is unibody stuff. It's not part of the frame. We thought maybe it would count, but it don't. So these are your 2A bars, go back up to the cage here. We'll just triangulate this to support everything. You see they worked out perfect. It's welded to the floor all the way down here, supports them in that area, which is spec as well. You know, it's got to be welded to the floor. They don't say how much, just as much as you can. And then it ties back in the front as well. Gives you a visual of the removable K-member. This middle piece I forgot to mention, it will also drop out. So you can pull the oil pan and do that stuff without pulling the motor. Big plus. See where it ties into that front hoop right there. Standard manual rack. Yeah, not much else to talk about under here. Plenty of room, plenty of support, plenty of bars. So nothing else really to say, but thank you, Demon Performance, for being so patient with us to get your roller finished over the past several years. But we're glad it's finally done. We're looking forward to what they're going to do with it from this point on. Those of you that are unaware, before I get done with this video, our Black Friday sale is going on right now, November 15th, which is today, through December 1st. It is those dates pretty much every single year. So if you want to buy a big ticket item like a roll cage or something like that that costs $2 or $3 grand, it could save you multiple hundreds of dollars during the sale. So don't forget those dates. If you haven't had a chance to check out our website, rock-solid-motorsports.com, there's always a link in the description below to our website to take you to see what we have to offer. So make sure you check that out. Thank you guys for watching the channel. Subscribe to it if you're not. I'm always putting out videos. I know this is more of kind of a showcase walk around video, but there's a bunch of videos on here, I think 300 or 400 of them. Got a lot of fabrication going on, a lot of welding, just a lot of explaining. I'm not the best at really anything I do. I just share the knowledge that I have. Hopefully it'll help, if I can quit burping, hopefully it'll help somebody along the way, because I'm a hard learner. I usually make many mistakes before something finally sinks in. My wife says I'm hard-headed. She's absolutely correct. So hope the channel helps people along the way. And if you got any questions, I try to stay active in the comments. So put them in the comments and I'll try to help you out there. So thank you guys. Hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving holiday, and we'll see you soon.